And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what conditional confidence is, why it's not good for you, and why you want to grow your own inner self-confidence. And I'm going to share some tips on how you can start doing that. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Iris Siriani and I am a self-love coach and a spiritual mentor. So let's start out with what conditional confidence is. Conditional confidence is when you feel confident when you have achieved something externally to you. So meaning you have achieved a level of success, you have received acknowledgement or accolades for something that you've done, you've achieved a desired look, or you have been validated in some way. So the confidence comes as a result of something outside of you. But there's a few problems with conditional confidence. The first one is that any accolades or recognition for an achievement is momentary, which means that once the moment has passed, the condition no longer exists and your confidence level drops again. Number two, if the external condition does happen and your confidence soars, the pressure to continue to reach for that same feeling becomes impossible. It becomes a moving target. And that's why so often we see people really trying to exceed and really trying to push themselves. It's because of that external validation and acceptance, that feeling that gives you that charge of self-confidence. But it's a moving target. And another reason is it leads to anxiety and depression and self-induced stress because you are working so hard to feel like you are worthy and good enough. It is extremely exhausting and overwhelming to constantly have to try improve yourself and striving for an outcome that again is a moving target. And then once you do reach there, because there are times that we do reach that level, the satisfaction or the outcome that we think we're going to get may not always be what we expect it to be. And that leads to a lot of disappointment. So what you want to do is build inner self-confidence. And you want to do that because when you have inner self-confidence, there is nothing external to you. There's no external condition that has to be met in order for you to feel confident. The world around you could be doing whatever it wants to be doing, but your self-confidence does not rely on something outside of you. The whole world is collapsing around you. Your inner self-confidence remains intact. Why is it that so many feel less than when it comes to other people? Self-confidence is one of the components to self-love. And when we have low self-confidence, we do feel like we are less than or beneath somebody else or not good enough, or we don't measure up to somebody else's standards. And that's simply untrue. We were all born with more than enough self-confidence to be able to maneuver our lives. When we are born into our physical body, we have a lot of self-confidence. We've learned how to walk and how to feed ourselves and how to clothe ourselves, and we stumbled and we fell, but everybody else was doing it as well. And so that inner self-confidence that perhaps you feel you don't have, it still exists within you, but perhaps it just needs a little bit of fanning of the flames. So if you want to see yourself as a confident person and someone who has a lot of self-confidence, then part of the process for shifting that is deciding that you are now a confident person. You are the type of person that has self-confidence. And once you've made that decision, then you can start doing things that a self-confident person does, and you can start to embody a person that has a lot of self-confidence. And so I'm going to share with you some things that I myself have done that have really, really helped me. First things first, you absolutely 100% need to stop judging yourself against everything and everybody else. That includes other people's accomplishments and successes, their status, their titles, their looks, their upbringing, their social media. That's a big one. We compare ourselves when we look at social media. How many social media followers somebody has, their possessions, their lifestyle, where you think you should be in your life at this particular point in your life compared to where other people are in their life. And this also includes for the spiritually minded people out there. Sometimes we can get caught up in thinking we're not far enough along on our spiritual journey or spiritual awakening, or we're not being spiritual enough. That's untrue. Our spiritual journey and our spiritual awakening is unique to every single person. And for those that are in that spiritually minded community, if you are judging yourself against where somebody else is in their journey, that also needs to stop. So remove all judgment of yourself where you are comparing yourself and your journey and your past and everything else. Remove all judgment about yourself. That's number one, because judgment and comparison is the biggest confidence killer. So number two is be proud of yourself. Be proud of all of the things that you have accomplished in your life. I know from personal experience that as a people pleaser, what we tend to do is undermine or undervalue or deny the things that we have achieved and accomplished in our lives. We try to, let's say if somebody is giving us a compliment, we will not accept the compliment, but we'll give somebody else a compliment back. When we don't acknowledge our own achievements and our own accomplishments, it's virtually impossible to feel proud of yourself. And feeling proud of yourself and having self-confidence and growing that self-confidence, they go hand in hand. So it's really important that you do take notice of everything that you've accomplished in your life so far. And it doesn't even matter how big or how small it is. So what I did for this one is I actually wrote it out in my journal about everything that I had accomplished. And what was interesting about this is that as I wrote out my list, I could hear my inner critic going, yeah, but that wasn't really that big of a deal, or yeah, that wasn't that big of a deal. So-and-so did such and such a thing. But we have to push our inner critic aside and just really focus on the things that we are proud of and know that it's okay that you are proud of yourself. You should be proud of things that you have accomplished. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is do things that make you feel proud of yourself. Keep the promises that you make to yourself. Show up for yourself. Oftentimes what happens is that when we set a goal for ourselves, we tend to make it monumental, something big. And that's great. We should have big goals if that's what you want to do. But don't forget about the journey that it takes to get there. And acknowledge and be proud of yourself for how you show up for yourself as you move towards that big goal. And that's also true for your little goals. Acknowledge the little baby steps that you take towards each one of these goals and start really focusing in on being proud of yourself. And you will see that your confidence in yourself is going to grow exponentially. All right, tip number 4 in growing your self-confidence. Pay no attention to what others think of you. Stay in your lane. You let other people stay in their own lane. Everybody's going to have an opinion. Everybody's going to have thoughts. Everybody's going to have ideas about what you should and should not be doing. Pay no attention to them. You're an adult, which means you get to make decisions for yourself. And what other people think about you is not a reflection about you or who you are. So focus on yourself, stay in your own lane, you do you, and let other people be who they are. Because when you are busy worrying about what other people are going to think or what other people are going to say or how they perceive you, you won't be able to confidently be yourself. And in order to have self-confidence, you have to be yourself. So when you worry about what other people are thinking of you, you can't confidently be yourself. So just focus on yourself and don't worry about what anybody else thinks about you or what you're doing. And this is a mindset shift that no one holds power over you with their thoughts. No one holds power over you, period, but especially not their thoughts. All right, tip number 5, ask for what you want and need. There's so many times that we silence ourselves from asking for what we want and need because we fear rejection. We make it mean something about ourselves. But the thing about this is that if we do get rejected or what we're asking for is rejected, we get to make a choice. We can either leave things exactly as they are, or we can choose to move in a new direction. That gives us the personal power, and that's what we want. That's what you want. You want to feel personally empowered with the power of choice, and we all have the power to choose for ourselves. And the final tip is face your younger years. There's always somebody from our younger years that we are trying to feel seen by, to prove ourselves as worthy, to prove ourselves as good enough to get love from. There's always somebody. Here are a few examples. Some are unknowingly trying to prove themselves to a parent who had unreasonably high expectations of them. Some are unknowingly trying to prove to the bullies of their past that they are not unworthy, that they are good enough, and that they are not who those bullies said they were. Because oftentimes with bullying, people are called names. People are told what they're able to accomplish in their lives, and that gets into somebody's psyche, and we take that on as our truth. So people who have been bullied oftentimes will try and push themselves so hard to reach a standard, to reach a level, so that they can subconsciously prove to the bullies of their past that they're not any of those things. And some are trying to fit into a persona that was defined by others in their younger years. So who are you trying to please? Who are you trying to prove wrong? And who are you trying to be that isn't really you? When we struggle with self-confidence, we also struggle with self-esteem, and we struggle with self-worth. Anything that begins with self is affected in some way. We just become skilled at covering up the insecurity. So remember, you are a powerful person. There is nobody that is better than you or higher up than you, regardless of their title, regardless of their status. We are all the same, and you hold all the power to be. I hope that you have found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already done so, you can download a free guide of how to change your life by loving yourself. And I will leave a link to that in the description box below. And until the next video, take good care.